To continue to celebrate Crocktober, I have compiled 15 of the easiest and simple crock pot recipes for you. These recipes are super low ingredient, so they are less work on your part. That way you can just let old Betty crock pot do all the hard work for you.
So this first one is Buffalo Wild Wings garlic Parmesan chicken pasta, and you'll notice that my ankle is sprained during this portion of the video. This is a super easy crock pot recipe that I filmed a couple of years ago when I sprained my ankle, so I am not currently hurt. And this is a compilation video, so you're going to see a lot of old footage from the kids, and it's just a lot of fun. You want to start by adding 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast to the bottom of your crock pot, followed by 1 12-ounce bottle of Buffalo Wild Wings Parmesan garlic sauce. And this is actually quite delicious, so I'd never tried this before and I really liked it. And then 1 cup of milk, and I realized after you're supposed to actually take the milk and put it kind of into the sauce container to like empty it out. I remember seeing that on TikTok, and you know, my mind wasn't in the right spot, so I didn't remember to do that, but you can do that. And then 1/2 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese and 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese. And now everything is in there, going to be all set. We're going to cook this on high. I did mine for 2 hours. I find that with chicken, my crock pot cooks super fast. You just want to check it. The recipe says 4, so we'll see. Low 5 to 6. I mean, I wouldn't go more than 5. Chicken cooks so fast, I swear. Then you just want to shred your meat up with 2 forks or shredders, whatever you have, or a hand blender. That'd be even easier. And then cook your favorite pasta and serve that with that. And I was so impressed with this. This was so delicious and creamy and just really a really big hit in my household, and I will probably make it again. And don't worry, I had my foot right back up. You saw this earlier once I got everybody served up and I was able to sit down and enjoy. Next up, we're making queso chicken, and you could actually serve this alongside rice or something, or just as a main and then a side as well. I actually decided to shred mine up and use it as a taco filling, and it was delicious. You want to start with 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Place those in your crock pot, and then you want to cook that on high for, I did about 2 hours because my crock pot cooks fast. The original recipe says 3 or low for 6. Again, I would not go longer than 5 hours on low with these. After that time is up, you then want to add a sprinkle of garlic powder right to your chicken, and then you're going to top that with a salsa con queso. I just had like the Taco Bell version, and I poured that right over top. Then 10 ounces of mild Rotel and 4 ounces of diced green chilies. Both of those you want to be drained, and you can really add them in any order. And then we're going to cook it for another half hour on, I think I did mine on low. It says high, but I think I did mine on low. You just want to make sure your chicken's done and everything is well warmed up. And then, like I said, I just shredded mine and served it as a taco. We did hard shells, we did soft shells, we did, you know, the sour cream, whatever you like on it. It doesn't necessarily look beautiful, but it was really tasty and it was a winner. Next up, we have a creamy chicken tortellini, and I had found some tortellini on clearance at Walmart, so I was looking for a way to use it, and I found this recipe, and I was like, this is going to be perfect. It was absolutely delicious. So you want to start with as much chicken as you have. You can use a pound of chicken, or you can use, in my case, I'm just using up the rest of what I have, which is probably about 3 pounds, and you want to cut those into larger pieces. I'm just like quartering mine, and then we're just going to make a quick sauce with 1/2 cup of chicken broth. You can totally use chicken bouillon here. If you didn't have that, you just use some water and salt. That will work. Then you want have about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then 1 container of like store-bought Alfredo sauce. So whatever you have, you can even find that at Dollar Tree. Then you just want to season your chicken with either salt and pepper or your favorite seasoned salt. I'm using Auntie Nono's because I feel like it just makes everything taste better. And then you want to mix together that mixture and your chicken and just pour it right over the top of that. And we're going to cook it on high for 2 hours. At that point, your chicken should be cooked through. You want to add in 1 cup of frozen peas. They can be thawed, or I think mine were just frozen, and that worked out fine. About 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese and about 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. I probably use more than that, so use as much or as little as you have, and it still turns out delicious because too much cheese is really never a bad thing. And then you want to cook that for, you got to add your tortellini. And then you want to cook that for 20 minutes until the pasta is fully cooked. You want to make sure everything's submerged. and it's absolutely delicious. Like, there's a lot of flavor in it. It doesn't taste like you just threw in store-bought Alfredo sauce or anything like that, because you're adding that extra cheese. It's really creamy and really, really good, and you even have the juices from the chicken, so the flavor is fantastic. And this is such a nice, easy one. You just add a little bit at the end and you are ready to go. And the kids loved it. They devoured it. Ben in particular also liked it, and my husband again said there was just tons of flavor here. This one is a super easy Knorr chicken pasta. I was so excited to try this recipe because we're using Knorr pasta sides, and you're going to use 2 bags of the broccoli cheddar. And I love using stuff like this because it's such a convenience item, like something that you have in your pantry perhaps, and maybe you're like, how am I going to use this in the future? Or just something you can grab for really, really cheap and you can make a whole meal out of it. So you want to add those 2 bags into your crock pot, followed by 1 can of condensed cream of chicken soup, another favorite convenience item. And then you want to add 4 cups of chicken broth. You can either do a 32-ounce container, or in my case, I'm using 4 teaspoons of chicken bouillon and 4 cups of water. And then I sliced up 2 pretty large chicken breasts and plopped those right in there. And that's going to be that for this meal. So all of the seasoning and all the flavor is actually going to come from the combination of the chicken broth and the Knorr pasta sides. And when this comes out and when it's done, we're going to have a pasta and chicken dish that is absolutely phenomenal with lots of flavor without having to even go in that spice cabinet. Now, this may vary by crock pot, but I cooked mine on low for 4 hours and it was perfectly cooked, delicious, and tender. It may not be the most beautiful thing in the entire world. It's kind of like this chicken macaroni and cheese delicious bomb of flavor, but it is so good. And like I said, that chicken is so tender, so probably depends on your crock pot, but mine with chicken, I always try and go low for 4 hours, and that's how it turns out perfectly, not dry and not overcooked. The recipe for a Swedish meatball that I saw on TikTok. I'm just using some frozen meatballs. You can just use 1 pound, but I'm going to use 2 so that I have leftovers. To your meatballs, add 1 can of beef broth, and I'm just using beef bouillon because it's cheaper and easier. And then 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And our last ingredient right now is just 1 packet of onion soup mix. It is that simple. Then mix everything together, and we're going to put this in the crock pot on low for 6 hours. After your 6 hours is up, this is kind of what the meatballs look like. They are pretty thick. The sauce is really thick, so you're going to want to thin this out. So I am actually going to add like a little bit of a slurry. So 1 teaspoon of water and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and then about a 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt or sour cream. And then because I had so many meatballs, I really wanted my sauce to be thinner. I added about 3/4 cup of water as well. You could add chicken broth here, but because we added that onion soup mix and the cream of mushroom, there's already so much flavor in this, and they're already salty enough as is. So if you added chicken broth, I just think that you'd be adding a little bit more flavor, but it kind of depends on how you like it. So I just used water and it thinned it out just right. It was absolutely perfect. I served my meatballs over egg noodles with just a side of really simple microwaved green peas, and this was a amazing, fabulous dinner. The kids loved it. Benjamin actually thought it was like the best thing ever, and we had leftovers for actually a couple days and ate all of it. Like, it was our favorite thing ever. It's such a good meal, and it was great to have all of those leftovers. It really rolled us over and tied us over for lunches in the next few days. The next crock pot meal is a Caesar chicken sandwich, and I had never had this before. Like, I've had chicken Caesar wraps and stuff, but I've never done like a shredded chicken with Caesar in a sandwich, so I was excited to try. I'm using 3 frozen boneless, skinless chicken breasts, just putting a little bit of garlic, pepper, and salt over the top, and we're going to cook those on low for about 4 hours. Chicken breasts cook up really, really fast, and if you cook them too long in the crock pot, they will dry out. So I do not recommend it. It depends on your crock pot for sure, but mine cooks fast and hot. And so in 4 hours, mine were perfectly ready to shred and nice and moist, not dry at all. You just want to shred these up whatever your favorite way is. I like to, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I just like to do it with forks, but you could just totally get out your mixer and do it a lot faster if you use your regular attachments on your mixer, your beaters, right? And then put the chicken in there. It will shred up perfectly for you. I don't know why I don't do that. Even if you're not making this chicken Caesar sandwich, this is a great way to make some shredded chicken for the week. But I am going to make the sandwich. So you just want to cover your chicken in Caesar salad dressing. I will put a recipe for Caesar dressing down below if you want to make your own. But I find that it's actually a lot cheaper than buying all the ingredients to just buy the salad dressing. I know that at Aldi, you can get it for around $1, and Walmart is probably the same. I'm just going to use a burger bun that I got 8 of at Walmart for $1. I toasted mine because I do like a little bit of crunch, and then I have a couple pieces of romaine lettuce because what is Caesar without romaine? And we're just going to add our chicken to the sandwich, and it is that simple. This is delicious. I love it. The kids loved it, and they just love everything these days, which I'm very proud of them for eating. And you know, it falls over, but it's still really delicious, and I will be making this again because it is easy and it is so cheap. I just served mine with a salad, but I also think it would be good with like some sweet potato fries or some tater tots or anything that you like to serve with a little sandwich. Potato chips, something about potatoes in a sandwich. It's got to be good. You like that?
I give it a 5.
Oh my God, he's too much. He's so excited. I think I saw food fly there. I'm like, oh, such a mess. That was fabulous. So this next dinner, we're going to make tacos. We're going to make salsa ranch tacos because they are so easy. I'm actually just using the rest of that package of frozen chicken. And I had this plan. I was going to make this salsa ranch chicken and ran out of salsa. So I had to search through my pantry. I'm like, what's salsa made out of? Diced tomatoes, onion, and a little garlic powder. And it turned out great. So, hey, if you don't have what you think you need on hand, you can make things happen with what is in your pantry. Do not forget. And I'm just going to cook this again for 4 hours on low because that's how my crock pot cooks chicken really well. But you do you, and whatever works to make sure that your chicken isn't dry, go ahead and test that out. I feel like so many recipes are like 6 to 8 hours. And if you do that, you're going to end up with chicken that is not really that great. So if you feel like my crock pot recipes aren't really hitting right, it might be because you're cooking your chicken for too long. So I was out of salsa. I was out of many things, and this is pantry cooking at its finest. I'm grabbing the last of some Greek yogurt that I had here that we're going to use kind of as a sour cream. And yeah, it wasn't a lot, but it was made my kids happy for what they had. And I was like, we'll just make other things to put on top of our tacos and they'll still be good. So I'm just shredding up the last bits of some Colby Jack and some cheddar cheese that I have here. We're using every last bit of everything that is in the house before I go grocery shopping. I did have some tomatoes that were kind of on their last legs. So this is the perfect thing to make a pico out of. So if I don't have salsa, I'm going to make a pico de gallo. Usually pico de gallo does have some jalapeno in it, but because everyone in my family, aside from me, does not like spicy stuff, I opt not to use that anyway. So we're in good shape. We can make kind of a very bland pico de gallo, which was really, really good over the tacos. So I'm just dicing up my tomatoes. I have some red onion, minced cilantro. I really didn't have that much, so I actually spread this tiny bit out among my pico de gallo, and I made a fresh guacamole out of some leftover avocado as well. Add a couple squeezes of lime juice to that and a little bit of salt, and it makes a delicious fresh pico to go over your chicken. Just made out of random things that I found around my house. For the guacamole, I minced up some garlic, probably about a teaspoon of fresh garlic to about a half a teaspoon of salt. And if you don't have fresh, you could totally use garlic powder. And then that's less than a teaspoon of minced cilantro. If you have dried, that's a good option too. I just didn't have any on hand. And some red onion. Again, onion powder will do if you need it. That's probably about a 1/4 cup of minced red onion. And then I happen to have all these cut up avocados from different things, and they need to be used. Yes, they're a little bit brown, but once you kind of mush it up into your guacamole, everything looks fine and it looks good and it looks fresh. So not a big deal to use some leftover avocado when you're making guacamole. It's a really great use for it, and it makes it into a whole different thing instead of my kids going, that's brown, I don't want to eat that. They love the guacamole. And I'm also going to add a couple wedges of lime to this. Just squeeze those right in. That citrus flavor really brightens up a guacamole. It's kind of what makes it so fantastic. And as I walked away to do something else with the kids, I found a bandit on my camera. So my husband's just stealing the cheese from our tacos. Not nice, not nice. I had to text him that picture. I was like, I caught you. I know what you did. For this chicken, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna shred it up however you like to shred it up. And this is our meat for our tacos. It's absolutely fabulous. I love that salsa and ranch flavor. And I don't think I mentioned earlier, it's probably about a tablespoon of ranch dressing, or you can use like about half a packet. And that should be plenty for you. It gives you lots and lots of flavor. And we cooked this nice and low and slow, so it's nice and moist and just fabulous. Keeping with that pantry cooking thing, I had like 4 larger taco shells and then a bunch of those mini ones left over from my fish stick tacos. So lots of options to choose from. We all had something different. This is how I made mine. They turned out absolutely delicious. You know, whatever toppings you like on them, and they were totally fabulous. Please also give this video a 5 by giving it a thumbs up and a high 5 to my channel by subscribing and being able to see my videos in the future. I really, really appreciate it. For this next one, I have a very similar idea, but we're gonna actually use a few different ingredients for these slow cooker chicken tacos. And just bear with me here, as this is an older video and I was having some renovations done in my kitchen. Because this is a compilation, you'll notice that some of these recipes were created in my old kitchen, and then I had my kitchen redone, and this one is kind of in the middle of that. And now today I'm just going to use my Instant Pot as my slow cooker, and I'm putting about 1.5 pounds of chicken tenders into the Instant Pot, as well as 1 packet of taco seasoning. Then you want to add 1 packet of ranch seasoning, or in this case, I'm using my little container that I got here, and that is equivalent to 3 tablespoons of ranch seasoning. And then add a 1/2 cup of water, and then set your slow cooker on low for 7 hours. At this point, you just want to shred up your chicken. This is what everything looks like when it comes out of your slow cooker. So just shred that up with a couple forks, or sometimes I like to use either a hand mixer or a potato masher. I find that both works fine for shredding your chicken. And this turned out so wonderfully. We just put it into tacos. So I ended up putting together like a little plate. You just take a sheet pan and you put some parchment paper over it, and then you put all the taco fixings that you want. We put some shredded cheese, guacamole, sour cream, and some salsa. Then I put a little bit of cilantro on the side and put everything right on there, and put that at the table to have everyone be able to serve themselves. And it was just a fun little taco party. And this ranch chicken was amazing and something so different. Everybody absolutely loved it. This taco right here is my son's, and he even had cilantro. I was so impressed. I think this chicken would also taste amazing either on a taco salad or in a burrito bowl. Because it's so easy, it would be exceptionally good for meal prep as well. Now the next meal we're gonna make is even easier. This is barbecue ranch chicken. So I'm using about 4 pounds of chicken drumsticks, and you can probably get these for like $3. I kind of overpaid, and I think I paid like $6, but I'm just using like a family size package. Use as many as you need, but drumsticks overall are very inexpensive. Then I'm using 1 container of, whatever your favorite barbecue sauce is. I'm using the Aldi Berman's, and that was $1.09, I think. And then 1 packet of ranch seasoning. Again, that's 3 tablespoons if you have a seasoning container. Just mix all that up and cook on low for 5 hours. This is the amazing chicken that comes out. It is so tender and not dry at all. That's the thing I love about cooking a bone-on chicken in your crock pot. It's just delicious. We served it with some German red cabbage and some cauliflower mash. This was the Aldi cauliflower mash. I just wanted to say that the cauliflower mash from Aldi was actually really good, and I recommend that as well. The next meal is an Italian chicken. Now I had seen this on another YouTube video, and I am so sorry, but I cannot remember whose it was, but I had been wanting to make it ever since. So I'm using half that package of chicken tenders. I'll be using this entire container of mozzarella cheese and this entire container of Italian dressing. Now, I did get that cheese on sale, so I always advocate, please look for sales on cheese, because cheese is expensive, and if you can find a deal on it, I actually got that for 75 cents at my local Shaw's. So, like I said, half that package of chicken, then I'm putting half the package of the mozzarella, I think it's like an Italian blend, and the whole container of Italian dressing. And this is basically the Olive Garden Italian dressing, just a knockoff from Aldi. So I cooked this on low for about 5 hours. And this is the amazing chicken that came out. It was so tender and delicious. And then I'm just going to add a pound of pasta to this. So you can just make as much as you need for your family. Or if you wanted, you could definitely serve this chicken with a salad on the side or over some mashed potatoes. I think it would taste good really any way. It's kind of addicting. So once I mixed everything up in here, you just want to add the remainder of your mozzarella or your cheese blend and mix everything again. And then this is how everything turns out. It was really, really good. The kids loved it. My husband loved it. And I kind of couldn't stop eating it. It was one of those things where I kept going back for like a little more and then a little more. And I don't know, like the more I ate, the more I wanted to eat more. So overall, this is a huge win. I just think these recipes are fantastic because they are so low in ingredients and so easy. They are basically... The next thing I'm going to make is barbecue chicken sliders because it doesn't get any easier than that or tasty than that. I'm just going to place about a pound of chicken tenders that I had bought on sale and put those right inside my crock pot, and then about a cup of barbecue sauce right on top here. And I'm going to cook that on low for about 3 to 4 hours. Especially with the chicken tenders, you just want to watch them. But because these were frozen, they did take a little bit longer. I think it was closer to 4 hours because you really don't want it to dry out. But the crock pot will just cook this for you. Like, it's amazing. It is so easy. So I recommend you just find some freezer chicken that you have around, and this is going to be the perfect way to make your sliders. Or you can buy fresh chicken. Right now, I think at Walmart, we're running like $2.98 a pound, which is still pretty inexpensive. You can see even with one fork, this chicken shreds so incredibly easily. Now, for grabbing rolls, I recommend Aldi. These Sweet Hawaiian rolls from Aldi were $2.09 on Instacart, and usually that's like an upcharge, so it's even cheaper. And at Walmart, the cheapest I can find is like $3.24. So a lot cheaper at Aldi to get those Hawaiian rolls. So this recipe, you can go crazy and put more stuff on it, or you can just go super easy and put less. So for me, I've heated my oven to 350 degrees, and I am slicing those Hawaiian rolls in half. And then we're going to place the barbecue chicken over the top of them, just an even layer. And I did have some Colby Jack cheese on hand, so I decided to put that on the top there. But if you don't have fresh cheese, you don't even have to use cheese with them. Like, they're going to be good without it. And then there's also the option of making up like a little coleslaw, like I talked about earlier, $1.98 or maybe 99 cents for that coleslaw mix. And just use some mayonnaise and whatnot you have on hand and make some coleslaw. And that's also really good on top of these. So there are so many options. Now, my favorite way to make something that is not necessarily fancy or extremely flavorful, I mean, it already is without it, but it's going to be even better and it's going to make it taste amazing, is to put some butter or some olive oil right over the top of your rolls, as well as some salt, some garlic powder, onion powder, and some Italian seasoning. And that flavor, it's basically like making a garlic bread right on top of your sliders. And wow, it is so good. And you just... like, why wouldn't you do it? You know, just take whatever you have on hand. So I just took those. I put them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 5 minutes. You can see how melty that cheese gets and how the top of those buns are browned. These are absolutely fabulous. Just go ahead and throw the buns right back on top. You can slice these into 12 pieces. The serving size is about 2, although I ate 3 of them for lunch this particular day, and the whole family loved it. I was like, okay, this is not only a potluck recipe, but this is also a good dinner recipe for us, or a lunch recipe, because it was just, they're so fabulous. We loved them. So super easy, super inexpensive. Sometimes you just have to grab the rolls and you can use everything else you have on hand, and it's so great. In total, if you do need to buy all the things for this recipe, it comes in at $5.34, and that's assuming no cheese and you just go very bare bones with the barbecue chicken. But for 6 people, that's going to be 89 cents a serving, and it is so delicious. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video today. I did put all of the cost breakdowns and comparisons down in the description box for you. If you want to check out another amazing video, check out how to use some ranch seasoning, because that also has some great potluck type ideas in it, and I know you're going to love it. So I'll see you all very soon. Make sure to like and subscribe, and you are awesome.
Yeah.
What is it?
5 out of 5.
Can you show me? Take a big bite.
No. A 10 out of 10 is so like it.
This next one is a super simple crock pot chicken and gravy. I've added 1.5 cups of water to my crock pot, and now I'm adding 2 packets of turkey gravy. Now the recipe calls for chicken gravy, but they just didn't have any at the Aldi that I went to, so I figured turkey was going to be just fine. Then I'm just adding 1 can of cream of chicken soup. You just want to mix all that together really well. This is an awesome meal because it's a very low ingredient meal. And then we're just going to add 2 to 3 large chicken breasts, about 1.5 pounds according to the recipe. And we're just going to pop this in the crock pot for 6 to 8 hours on low. And then you just want to shred your chicken. So this is what everything looks like. And you're just going to shred up that chicken. And then once everything's shredded, you want to add 1/2 cup of sour cream. Now, I ended up serving this with some cauliflower mash that I had in the freezer, but you could totally just serve this with rice and it's going to work out quite well for you. This was so delicious. I've been wanting to try this for a while and it turned out as good as I hoped it would. The next meal is Mississippi chicken. So if you saw my Christmas in the crock pot video, you saw my Mississippi pot roast. And this is a chicken version of that, and I've wanted to try this for a long time, so it was so exciting to finally do it. Now, the recipe calls for, I think, 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I actually had, I don't know, maybe 1.5 pounds. It was 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, which is honestly just perfect for my family. My kids don't eat a lot of meat, and between my husband and I and what we were going to serve it with, it was absolutely plenty. I was actually able to have a serving for lunch the next day. So what I decided I would do is just half everything. So what you want to do is you want to put on 1 packet of au jus if you're using your full 3 pounds of chicken, but I'm going to use 1/2 packet. And then 1 packet of ranch dressing seasoning. And again, I'm going to use about 1/2 packet. I have a little container of it from BJ's, so I just use a couple tablespoons. And then I'm going to put 1/2 stick of butter on top of mine, but if you're using the full version, you want to put a full stick of butter. Then you want to put about 6 to 8 pepperoncinis around your chicken, and then you can cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. And I did really want to show you the broccoli recipe. It was just so easy that I made with this. So I got some broccoli actually for free on a reward at Shaw's, my local supermarket. And I needed a recipe to cook with this. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some broccoli, let's have something healthy, but I need my kids to eat it. So I found a recipe on craft.com and it is actually super easy. So you just cook the frozen broccoli according to the instructions, and then you're gonna add in about 1/4 cup of Italian dressing and 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese. And that's it, guys. It is so easy. And oh my goodness, it was delicious. Like, my kids actually ate the broccoli. It took a lot of coaxing to get them to try it because they're just not fans usually. And they're like, wow, this is actually good. So they ate a whole 4 pieces each. I was so impressed. But I really wanted to show you guys this simple recipe because it is just too easy not to, and I thought that you guys could benefit from it. So here is the beautiful broccoli after I sprinkled a little extra mozzarella shreds over the top. And yeah, this was a big hit. And then here is our chicken when everything comes off, and you can see now some people shred this up and kind of like put all the sauce with it, but I actually just kind of really liked having the chicken thighs. Now mine were kind of stuck together because they were a little bit frozen when I put them in there, but they were so juicy. Like, I pulled it off right at the right time. There was plenty of chicken. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but there absolutely was. And then I also made some Instapot mashed potatoes. I'll make sure to link the recipe for that down below. Like I said, you could just serve this with rice and it'll be delicious. And here's the proof, guys. He ate it. They actually both ate everything on their plates, so I was super impressed.
So for dinner tonight, we're gonna make like a Santa Fe chicken. So I'm putting some black beans, and I just kind of drained them out, but I didn't really rinse them. It's fine. Can of corn. You can use frozen too if you want, but we bought canned, which is a little cheaper, I think. About a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of cumin. And then it's your choice. You can use a can of tomatoes, diced tomatoes with green chilies. You can use a can of diced tomatoes and a can of green chilies, or like we're doing, because we're gonna get kind of double duty out of this, I'm gonna use about half this jar of salsa. And then you can either use like a can of chicken broth. I just made up a little bit of chicken bouillon. And if you don't have any bouillon, you can always just use water and salt. You wanna give this a good mix. And then I'm just gonna place my boneless, skinless chicken thighs in here. If you wanted to, you could always buy breast for this. This was just a little bit cheaper for me this week. I just tend to like thighs better anyway. I just think that they're, I don't know, maybe because they have a higher fat content, they're not as dry. And we're just gonna cover this, and I'm gonna put mine on low for 3 hours because I feel like mine cooks super hot, but if you need to, you do high for 3 hours, or you can do low for like 6 hours if your crock pot doesn't cook hot. So you kind of just have to know your crock pot. Okay, it's been a while. I did turn it off or put it on warm.
everything was fully cooked through. So we're just gonna shred this up and then decide whether to put it in the tortillas or over rice, or put the rice on the side, or put the rice in the tortilla. The options are pretty much endless.
And then this is very good with just like chunks or slices of avocado. I did decide to make up a quick guacamole just by mashing up a few of my avocados, about a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of onion powder, teaspoon of salt. And then if you have some lime, you can use fresh, or you can use, you saw I had that stuff that I just keep in the fridge. I keep it on hand kind of as a pantry item. It's super inexpensive. And that's it for like the most simple guacamole that there is. I shredded up my cheese. We've got our sour cream and our salsa, and then just shredded up that chicken. I ended up kind of like pulling it out and draining out the liquid and putting it into a bowl, and that way everyone could enjoy it how they wanted to enjoy it. So I had like a burrito bowl. The kids had their tacos. We ended up with extra tortilla shells, and we even ended up with some extra rice. So there was like plenty of leftovers for the next day. And this chicken like this is absolutely phenomenal. Like this is so good. I will make it over and over again. It is something that is so versatile.
Jay.
5 out of 5.
Wow, nice.
5 out of 5.
What do you think, Ben?
As always, you can find all of these recipes down in the description box. Down there, you're also going to find my free ebook, 30 back-to-school slow cooker recipes, that has even more recipes than you'll find in this video. This is only available for free for a limited time, so make sure to get yours today.
What is that noise?